Welcome to the SST College of Arts and Commerce. This is SST Edupedia. Myself, Assistant Professor Yogesh Patil from the Department of Information Technology and Computer Science, welcoming you for this session. Today's session is for class TYBSC Computer Science Semester 5. The subject is Artificial Intelligence, and today we are going to discuss the topic Agent and Environment in AI. And today we are going to discuss the very first topic, that is environment. So before environment, let's talk about the agent. What is mean by agent? So the agent and environments which we used, or the term which we have used for artificial intelligence, the definition of agent, you can say that an agent is anything that can be viewed as perceiving its environment through the sensors and acting upon that environment through its actuators. So as you can see in a diagram, we have one agent which is getting an information of an environment with the percepts through its sensors and it doing an actions through its actuators. Now what is mean by environment? So friends, environment is nothing but, it is in artificial intelligence, it is nothing but the surrounding of the agent. For example, if I am sitting over here, you are watching me on a YouTube or you are watching me on a video, so whatever the surrounding I have in my recording room, okay, that will be an environment for me. Okay, so it can be in anything. So I am acting here as an agent and the surrounding is nothing but an environment. So this is a real life example. If you say, if we created a self-driving car, so in that scenario the road and where we are driving, okay, that particular area or a place will be an environment for that particular car, and car will be work as an agent in that environment. So there are different types of there are different types of environment in AI, and we are going to discuss environments in this particular session only. So there are basic types of environment, that is fully observed or partially observed, then deterministic versus stochastic, comprehensive versus collaborative, single agent environment, multi-agent environment, static environment, dynamic environment, discrete environment or continuous environment, then episodic environment and sequential environment, as well as known versus unknown environments. So let's discuss about these environment. So very first environment, that is fully observed environment versus partially observed environment. Friends, when an agent sensor is capable to sense or to access the complete state of an agent at each point in time, it is said to be fully observable environment, else it is partially observable. If we are maintaining a fully observed environment, it is easy, as there is no need to keep track of the history of anything or a surrounding. And the environment, it is also known as an, or it is called as an unobservable environment, when the agent has no sensors in all environments. For example, if we are taking an example of chessboard, so the board is fully observable. An agent or a player who is playing, they can observe the complete board and they can decide their moves accordingly. So the opponents can move. And if we consider an example of driving, as we have already discussed, if for driving, the place where we are driving a car, it is an environment for us, and many of times we can't predict that what immediately come in front of us on a road. So we know that this is a road and here we have to go. So it is partially observable environment. So we know only some part of the environment or the surroundings, not each and every part. So the environment is partially observable because what's around the corner we don't know. That's why driving will be an example of partially observable environment. So next is deterministic environment versus stochastic environment, or we can say that when a uniqueness in an agent's current state completely determine the next state of an agent, the agent is said to be deterministic. And the stochastic environment, in that it is random in nature, which is not unique and cannot be completely determined by the agent. So agent cannot determine the environment completely. So let's see the same example, chess and self-driving car. If in chess there would be only few possible moves for a coin or for a player that can do the moves. We can determine the move of opponents. So for example, if we made or if we give a check to the opponent, so there might be that opponent may have 2 or 3 options, or in sometimes it do not have any option, so the opponent surrender. So this is here we can determine the step. And there the second example, that is stochastic. So self-driving car, if we taken as an example, then the action of self-driving car are not unique and it always vary time to time. So we can't predict that we will press a brake after 10 minutes or we will accelerate the car after 15 minutes. All are the random actions, we can't predict it. So it will be an stochastic or undeterministic environment. Then next is competitive or versus collaborative environment. So agent is said to be competitive environment when it completes against another agent to optimize the output. The other game of chess is competitive as agents compete with each other to win the game, which is an output. So the output will be player A or player 1 win or player 2 won, likewise. And agent is said to be collaborative environment when a multiple agent cooperate to produce the desired output. For example, when a multiple self-driving cars are found on the roads, they cooperate with each other to avoid the collision and reach their destination is their desired output. So that will be an example for competitive versus collaborative environment. Then the next environment, that is single agent versus multi-agent environment. As the name itself suggests, that an environment consisting of only one agent is said to be single agent environment, and the person left alone on the environment which involving more than one agent is known as an multi-agent environment. And as you can see an example, that a person left alone in a maze is an example of single agent system. And if we say that a game of football, it is a multiple or multi-agent which involves at least 11 players in a team. And there are so many games, multiple or multi-level or multiplayer games which is available online. All will be an example of multi-agent. Next, that is a dynamic versus static environment. An environment that keeps constantly changing itself when an agent is up with some action is said to be dynamic. For example, a roller coaster ride is a dynamic as it is set in a motion and the environment keeps changing very instant. And if we consider that ideal environment with no changes in its state, it is known as an static environment. For example, an empty house is there no change in its surrounding when it is known as an with an entire environment, so it will be an static. For example, if we create a vacuum cleaner, for vacuum cleaner, that room or that house will be an static environment. Next is discrete versus continuous environment. If an environment consists of finite number of actions that can be deliberated in the environment to obtain the output, it is said to be an discrete environment. And for example, in a game of chess, it is, or it can be considered as a discrete environment, as it has only finite number of moves. We do not have infinite number of moves in a chessboard. So the number of moves might be vary with every game, but still it's finite. So it is known as an discrete environment, and the environment in which the actions are performed cannot be numbered. For example, it is not discrete, so it will be a continuous environment. For example, self-driving car, it is an example of continuous environment, as there is an action of driving, parking, or number of action we can perform along with the giving an indicator, right indicator, left indicator, etc., etc. That might be a continuous environment. Then we have episodic versus sequential environment. So an episodic task environment, each agent or each of agent's action is divided into atomic incidents or episodes. There is no dependency between current and the previous incidents. In each incidence, an agent receives input from the environment and then it performs the surrounding or a corresponding action. So for example, if we consider an example of pick and place robot, which is used to detect defective parts from the conveyor belt. So here every time robot agent will make the decision on the current part. If there is no dependency between the current and the previous decision. If the first part is good, then it will select, or it will let it to go on the conveyor belt. If there is a defective part, it will pick up the defective part only. So it is not depending upon the previous or the next step. And then in a sequential environment, the previous decision can affect all the future decisions. For example, the next action of an agent is always depending that what kind of action the agent is going to take previously or have taken in previous. So for example, if we take an example of checkers, there is a previous move which is affecting on the next move. And then the last environment, that is known versus unknown environment, it is nearly equal to the observable versus partially observable, but in unknown environment you can see the output for all portable action is given. Obviously in case of unknown environment, for an agent makes a decision, it does not know that what action he has to do. It is taking his decision whatever the knowledge that agent has been gained from the environment, and it works accordingly in the environment. So this is all about the environment. In next session or in next video we will discuss about the agent or types of agent as well. So friends, thank you for all. Thanks a lot.